Well, it seems to be that most people are quite interested in the rectification. And rectification also can be used in general research. The concepts, I mean, all of the modules, rectification, family and research, are all interlinked. Jigsaw can take a rectification set of data and do something else with it. So they all feed into each other. And indeed, I was talking to Andy yesterday, and he puts his stock market highs and lows into the rectification because he wants those sorts of graphs coming out. And so Jigsaw enables you to do the weirdest things, and quite happily does that, to think in different ways. Okay, so we'll probably start with rectification. We'll move into families, and we'll do the research after at the last section, and making sure we cover the ephemeris group. The key thing with Jigsaw, not the key thing, the starting point with Jigsaw, no matter what you're going to do, the starting point is data. Put something into it. Right? So no matter if you're rectifying or whether if you're researching or doing a family group or a group of stock market data, you've got to put information into Jigsaw. So let's just start with that, because that's universal to all the things you were talking about. If you go to File and you've got Data Options. Now, first of all, Jigsaw comes with some data just to help you play around. And here's the data here. This is sort of about 400 or 500 actors. There's every astronaut that NASA's had. That's the Aussie data bank from Solar Fire, just in there. There's Buzz Aldrin's life events, that's for rectification. The Dutch royal family, just as an example of a family group. Cyril Fagan's life events, he's a famous English astrologer, hopefully you know him. We'll use him as an example for rectification. The Kennedy family, which is an interesting little group of people, shall we say.
Family pattern,
it's sort of like, you think you've got problems with your family, right? Music is just a whole lot of popular musicians, all untimed birth data, but just a whole lot of, I can't remember the numbers, about 600 or so musicians. The life of Richard Nixon for rectification. Because I'm Australian, it's the birth data of every Australian Prime Minister, untimed again because we don't know the times. A whole lot of published 20th century Australian poets. In a sense, you don't necessarily want to do research on this. This is just data for you to play with. The birth data of all the popes up to John Paul II. And that's another interesting little group. Yeah. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. You can play around. Now, this is one that's absolutely riveting for all of you. I know you're just hanging out for this particular set of data. Graham Dawson, the other side of Jigsaw, we did it together, he still has a PhD in meteorology. And so this is the rainfall in Adelaide. He just sort of imported this data from the Bureau Metropolitan from 1839 to 1979. Every day, the date where more than 10 millimetres of rain fell. But it's an example in working with research and weather and that sort of data, because this is example data. This is your royal family, like all of it, from Henry III. So that's a list of sovereigns and kings and queens and how long they've reigned, etc. This is a collection of data I made, the world's worst storms from 1880 CE to 1975. That's taken the date that the World Bureau sort of said they happened and obviously their location. And this is the US presidents up to Clinton. I haven't put Baby Bush in yet. No, I thought I'd leave him out. Now that comes with it, and that's handy to start to play around with. So it gives you something to get started with. But you might have data somewhere else, and you probably will have, a lot of data in SolarFire. And if you go to data and import, and just click that, you actually open up the import screen, and you can see you can import from SolarFire if you've got Nova files. Believe it or not, I still have Nova files. No one else probably does, but Roy probably's got a few too. Blue Star and QuickBooks, QuickCharts, oh my God, too much accounting, and basic ASCII format. So that really covers almost any sort of format you can have your data in, because the basic ASCII, and you can edit the ASCII formatting as well, so you can import in almost any format. And you simply find your file over here and import it to there. Did you have a question? So?
Yes, I've got WinStar. How would I get WinStar?
Well, that's it. QuickCharts do WinStar.
Is it? Does it? Right.
Yeah, I think QuickCharts is WinStar.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. But if not, if there are most good programs will export in ASCII. You could always go in that direction. But they're try-quick, because Quick Charts and Blue Star are matrix programs, and so is WinStar. So I would imagine once you've opened some data, and I've just opened a few little bits of data so you can actually have a look at it. We'll open some untimed data. So here's the popular musicians. You just open it. You can actually
switch that off.
Yeah, you can actually ask for a notepad to be attached to it, but we won't go in that direction. And if you go down, once you've opened data and you see it's written here and here as to what you've actually currently got open, and believe me, when you're working hard with Jigsaw, you sometimes need to check what you've got open because you can suddenly forget and you suddenly got something different happening to what you thought. So you keep an eye on that. And you can actually get in and have a look at your data by simply edit data. And here it actually is. And this is also the screen where you actually input data if you're going to key it in by hand. So here is the musicians. You can see as I click down their names here, as I highlight each one, I get all their information up here. So this is just basic set of data. We can scroll down and we can see that there are 1,600. Oh, I was busy that day. I compiled all these by hand. 1,600 popular musicians and all of their data. It's a very simple file. It is timed. I know it's not. It's all just actually set to 0 GMT. But some of it's set with a zone to actually MST or the different zones they're at. Very simple. I want to show you some other things though, so we'll just actually open a few more data files to try and show you some differences. If we go, what one will they, if we go to the Royals. So edit data. Okay, this is all the kings plus the current royal family. So we've got Henry II. But what I want you to notice as I click on each one, that you've now got information here. Henry II, Richard I. Some of this is untimed, some of it is timed. But as we click on it, I don't know why that word succession is running there, because it doesn't on mine, but we won't worry about it. We've got here, I've just put some categories in. So quite often with data, you need to tag it in some way. You've got the actual birth data, but you actually need to put more in. Whether you're going to use it for rectification, probably not. You don't need to tag it then. But for any research, you probably do want to tag it. And even for family stuff, you may want to tag it as well. So it's not unusual to want to put tags on data, to put more information in there. With this category here, with this little grouping up here, you can literally just add categories. Now, I've just set these up. I've got the Datic succession, which happens to be for this king, 1422. How old he was when he succeeded to the throne. He was 1. He was a king, not a queen. The computers are not very smart. You have to tell them, right? And he reigned for 40 years, whereas Edward IV was 19 when he succeeded to the throne, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if I'm doing research on that file, I can actually research all the child monarchs. Do you know, I can actually sort the data very easily. There's in the research module, we can sort by this. So if we wanted to add another category to this, we just click up here on categories. And then we can add a new one. So we've got succession rate. We can add a new one, and it's called category 5. We can write it into good old test, use it for everything. So we've now got a category which we've self-labelled test, but you could say I've labelled these other ones age, king or queen, something. And then you can decide whether you want a set list of items, which you just click on one for every bit of data, which is very useful when you know it's going to be one or the other or just one of a set of 3. Or you can have a numerical value, or you can have free text. So I won't add the data, but here you can see this is a numerical data one. Here you can see this is a drop-down list, king or queen. Here you can see this is a numerical data one as well, and I just type it in. Now that means later on that if I sort this data, and this is a numerical value also, the year, if I sort this data I can say give me all the monarchs before 1500, and I can do simple things like that, or give me all the monarchs who are kings or who are queens or whatever. Now, the importance of this is category and value. any type of data you put into Jigsaw, you can put these categories in. It's unlimited to the number of categories you can construct. You just write whatever you want in there, and you assign whether it's a number, a set choice of one or two things, or something you just write something in. And you'll see later on when we dip into research that becomes extremely important and extremely handy. So that's important. Any questions on that? It's a bit of a boring bit. We'll get to nice juicy replication shortly, but we've really got to talk data. Yeah.
So you could put, say, executed, died naturally,
Yes.
killed.
Yes.
So you could have your own subcategory if you wanted to. Yeah.
There's no limit to what you do there, Bill. So yes, you can actually put. Yes, you could put another whole thing of the length of reign and then how did they die. Executed is an interesting one, you know, or died in battle, violent death, or died naturally, you know, etc. Yeah, absolutely. You could put their eye colour in.
Yeah, so in other words, it's unlimited.
You could do whatever you wanted. It's you noticed in the musician file it was blank. Now Jigsaw will keep open the last 4 files that you had here, which is quite handy. If we have a look at the musician file, and edit data, you'll see this is blank. So I haven't got any categories here, but I could create a category like, I could say, I could say drummer, or not. Do you know? Or I could, or type of instrument, and then you just have instrument. And then if I had instrument, I might want to put this as a list of items so that I could actually then put drums, guitar, and so I wouldn't have to type it in all the time. I could just actually select it through.
If you had your list of say instruments, and then say like guitar one, so you could have your value then, could you?
Yes, you could, but you can sort by. I mean, why would you want to put a number value on an instrument? Because the number values you say less than 3, greater than 3. Do you know, like you can actually sort by pull out the violinist, pull out the.
So you don't need to put a
number value on. You only use a number value if you want to sort greater, the same as, or equal than. Do you know, like or less than, etc. All right, so we won't retain those changes. But I just want to show you that. I think that's a very important part, and a lot of people don't realise they can do that. Okay, so having looked at that form of data, let's now go to the next tutorial and let's look at the sort of data you would use for rectification and how to handle it.